Good evening and welcome inside the NDSS Community Field in Nanaimo. What a beautiful sight it is, and getting set to kick off week number 2, technically, in the BCFC, but opening weekend for these two football clubs, the Vancouver Island Raiders getting set to host the Langley Rams. Thanks so much for joining us here on BCFC TV. My name is Dominic Abassi, standing up high in the Rotary Bowl grandstands in behind the NDSS Community Field, and a lot of excitement. You can feel it around the park today, around everyone else. No 2020 British Columbia Football Conference season, of course, COVID-19 pandemic wiping that out for everyone. So a return to junior football here in Nanaimo for the first time in over 22 months. It has been a long, long wait for the fans and the players alike, and everybody is very happy to be able to be back inside the confines of a junior football stadium. The Langley Rams come into this, the two-time defending British Columbia Football Conference champions. Back-to-back seasons they have lost in the Canadian Bowl final to the Saskatoon Hilltops. The Vancouver Island Raiders on the other side, of 5-5 2019, and they come in here looking to build, looking to improve. Not a typical Raider season to finish 5-5, to say the least. They are known as a perennial powerhouse in this British Columbia Football Conference. You might notice things look a little bit different than if you're a longtime fan of the BCFC and the VI Raiders. You might notice a bit of a different look. That's because after 14 seasons, playing at Caledonia Park here in Nanaimo, they have moved. It'll be the first game ever, the first junior football game ever played at this field, the NDSS Community Field, as this field was built, opened in 2018 here in Nanaimo, $3.8 million artificial turf field. They're continuing to build up the amenities around it here. It's not a full-fledged stadium at this point, as you can see on the far side of the field, just a pretty standard aluminum bleacher setup, but it is a beautiful state-of-the-art artificial turf field, something that has never been the case for the Vancouver Island Raiders. Of course, Caledonia Park, a turf field, really a storied field in the history of junior football. You have to put it that way. The Raiders have won 2 Canadian Bowls there. A lot of other teams hate it, and the Raiders, of course, love it as their home park, but it is a new dawn, a new field for the VI Raiders and the Langley Rams as the Raiders will kick off here. It has rained pretty much all day in Nanaimo, and at this moment, at least ready for kickoff, there is no rain coming down. It's about 15 degrees or so down at field level, a light breeze, nothing too major that should impact the play, but it is by all means pretty decent late summer pre-fall football weather. The Rams will send back Xavier Fleury and Brody Clark to return this kick, and it is a squib kick to start the season. The ball is still loose, and the Rams jump on it right around their own 35-yard line. So how about that? After 22 months of no football, the Raiders special team comes out and tries a bit of a squib kick. Not sure if maybe that was designed to be an onside kick, but a squibber nonetheless. And the Rams are able to recover it at their own 35-yard line, and that is where they will start this offensive possession, the first offensive possession in, as I said, over 22 months of competitive football. Trey Jones will be the starting quarterback for the Langley Rams as he'll set up in the shotgun. Derek Best, the back, set up just off to his right in the offset. 3 wide receivers near side. And the first play from scrimmage will be a handoff to Best. And he'll try left side and break a few tackles, rumbling up the middle. A solid 4-yard gain. It's hard to get a read on exactly what to expect really from any team in the BCFC. It's effectively been 2 full years of recruiting without playing. So it's hard to predict exactly what we'll see from these offenses or defenses. A lot of unknowns as we get set into this season. A 2nd and 5 here. Ball just outside the Rams' own 40-yard line. They'll set up in that shotgun eye here. 3 wide receivers still near side. Trey Jones calls for the snap, and he'll hand it off to Best again, left side, and he has the first down as he takes a solid pop crossing the 50-yard line. And a very good start to the game for this Rams rushing attack. 2 snaps and a first down nearing midfield. And Derek Best is a big, big body. in that backfield, and he certainly seems to be, at least in the early first 2 snaps here, a tough man to bring down as he gets rolling through that offensive line. Raiders bench making some noise here on a first down. Same set as we've seen the first 2 snaps from the Rams here. Shotgun, handoff best. He'll try that left side, and he'll be pulled down by the veteran defensive lineman Doyle Westland from that Vancouver Island Raiders defense. He, one of the key players on that Raiders defense this year, is Westland. Rams have yet to try a pass on their first offensive series here. 3 consecutive rushing plays, and the ball right on the midfield stripe. Sets up second down and 7 to go. Just over 2 minutes into this first quarter. Still waiting on our first points. Rams, will they pass here for the first time in this game? Have not seen Trey Jones use his arm. 3 wide receivers near side, Best in the backfield. He'll motion out, it will be a pass. Jones rolls, throws off balance and out of bounds, and you have to wonder if you're putting your quarterback in the best position to throw, a left-handed quarterback rolling to his right and automatically putting him in an awkward position there, and he had no target, threw it out of bounds, and the Rams' first possession will end in a punt. But positive first series, a first down, and they'll win some field position here, Will Langley. Raiders will send Marcel Grant back to return. He stands at about his own 10-yard line. Not a great kick, kind of off the side of the foot, and that'll skip and bound out of bounds off the foot of Darian Pritchard. So the Vancouver Island Raiders offense will come onto the field with arguably the most veteran quarterback, maybe not only here in the BCFC, but in all of the country. Jake LeBerge, a former All-Star, will be under center. He is 23 years old. Of course, the Canadian Junior Football League extending the eligibility for this special pandemic season. So players with an extra year of eligibility, LeBerge would have played his 22-year-old year last year, but of course with no season, he'll come back as a 23-year-old for his final season, and he'll start the game with a handoff to Jason Henderson, who is another veteran, familiar face for these Vancouver Island Raiders. He had about 200-plus yards rushing in the 2019 season. So the Raiders' first possession starting from their own 24-yard line. And they get about 3, maybe 4 yards on the first snap. Raiders set up in the shotgun set. Henderson is in the backfield beside LeBerge. 3 wide receivers on the near side of the field. Second and about 6 to go. LeBerge flushed early. He's going to have to tuck this one and run, and he's got the first down as he scampers out of bounds, and flags come out. And what I would have to assume is going to be a late hit. And now this may be a little bit confusing for those of you watching from home, because you can see very clearly the white sideline, the thick traditional sideline on the football field. That is not the official sideline for this game. This field is actually primarily used as a high school football field, and of course in BC, high school teams playing with American rules football, the field much narrower. So that thick white line you see is actually the high school sideline. So that is not the sideline for this game. There is about, I would say, probably 5 yards outside of that is a blue and white line. That is the official sideline. You can see on the far side of the field, that's where the sticks are, the first down sticks. So don't be fooled if you see a player continue to run after they go across that wider white stripe, because they are in fact still in bounds. So with the penalty and the first down run, the Raiders move up to the 50-yard line here, just over the 50, actually on the 52. LeBerge under center, in the shotgun, I should say. Receivers motion, they'll hand off Henderson, right side. Gets through a hole, looks as though the ball might have been loose, but they picked that up, and there is a flag late in the play from behind. The back judge has thrown down a flag here. John Popplestone, by the way, is the head referee. He's a newcomer here in the BCFC, I'm told, out of Calgary, former U Sport official. And it's a hit to the head against the Rams. So back-to-back major fouls on consecutive plays here, and the Raiders are going to get excellent field position. We are just over 4 minutes into the first quarter here. No score yet. The Rams had their turn, 1 first down and a punt, and now the Raiders with their first offensive possession, aided by a couple of Rams penalties, and they've got the ball now 1st and 10 at the Ram 40-yard line. LeBerge in the shotgun, Henderson behind him, 3 wide receivers near side. LeBerge, his first pass of the game, that is on the money to Marin Bradbrook, but he is gobbled up in the backfield. Excellent defensive play. Ryan Bathelson was the first man on the scene. He was helped out in there as well by Joel Clausen. And a huge defensive play there for the Rams after taking consecutive major penalties and moving the Raiders freely into their territory. They come up with a big negative play, 5-yard loss on that wide receiver screen on first down. Not a lot of plays in the playbook designed for 2nd and 15. LeBerge calling out an adjustment to his offensive line. Thinks he might see a blitz coming off the right side of his offensive line. And the flag will fly out here. It is a delay of game. And I know it's week number 1, 22-and-a-half-month layoff, but you would not expect to see that kind of clock management from a veteran like Jake LeBerge, and that will be even more costly. The Raiders looking at 2nd and 20 now after that penalty. Raiders were 3-2 at home in the 2019 season, although as a broadcaster, we love stats. I don't know how applicable stats from 2019 really are in these circumstances and in this game, but nevertheless, the last season to reference, the Raiders with a 3-2 home record, and that's non-traditional from a BCFC history perspective, because historically the Raiders just do not lose home games at Caledonia Park, where they played in the 2019 season and the 13 seasons before that. They just don't lose games at home, and that's why it was such a vaunted stadium in this league. But it has not been quite the same success of the last few years for the Raiders. So it looks like they've waved off that penalty. Maybe an issue with resetting the clock. So it's actually still 2nd and 15. Early motion, delayed handoff. Henderson initially had a good amount of room, but he will be stopped by that Ram front. Cole Barron in the area, the former All-Star, making the tackle. And it's going to be the punt team coming on for the Raiders on their first possession. So both teams forced to punt on their first times out. Rams with 2 returners back. Punter was contacted and a flag comes down, as that was just a gorgeous punt down into the corner by Ethan Moran, but a flag is down. I don't think that's roughing. He'd be contacting the kicker. I don't think that was a rough. Either way, that was a beautiful punt. It would have pinned the Rams down inside their own 20-yard line. So it's a 10-yard penalty for contacting the kicker. Repeat 3rd down, and the Raiders have sent the offense back onto the field. It's 3rd and about a yard after the contacting the kicker penalty. So another huge penalty on this drive against the Langley Rams. And instead of their offense being on the field, it's a 3rd down gamble on the Raiders' first drive of the game. 3rd and 1 from the 30-yard line of Langley. Hard count from LeBerge, and he's not going to snap this ball. And it's a delay of game, so I think the Raiders sent the offense back out there to see if that they could get themselves a free first down, but the Rams defensive line holds their water, and they will send the punt team back out. I suppose the coach certainly knows their players better than I do, but you wonder maybe if they could have tried a field goal. Would have been about a 37-yard attempt there. But they tried to get the Rams to jump, no such luck, and Moran will come back out to punt, this time from 5 yards further, and he's going to pound this one into the end zone. And it's going to be fielded in the end zone by Daniel Kabongo. He tries to go wide side of the field. He gets a block, breaks a tackle, and a flag comes out that's going to negate what is a fantastic return from Kabongo here. As he's pulled down just past the 40-yard line, another flag late. So a excellent job of the Rams, Daniel Kabongo, getting that out of his own end zone, not yielding a single point. And there are 2 flags down now. One came out in the area of what I would assume would be a penalty on the return team, and the late flag, usually that's on the defensive team, so we'll see how these play. 8:28 left to go here in the first quarter. No score in this football game yet. Both teams have had a go. Both teams have punted. Relatively typical that you would see a lot of flags in a week 1 matchup. It's, as I said off the top, technically week 2 in the BCFC, but the first game of the season, first game in 22 plus months for these two teams. So you can forgive the players if they're a little bit sloppy perhaps, and usually leads to more flags. So of course, with no preseason games either, that makes that situation even worse, where you need live action. You can't replicate that live action, especially special teams. Most teams practice, of course, special teams, but not as perhaps anywhere near as much time as they spend on their offensive and defensive sets. So see those special teams often with flags, and the referees discussing this at length here because there are 2 flags. New head coach for the Langley Rams this season, Corey Philpott, the head man. He was named officially the head coach about a month ago. So obviously not traditional to have to be naming a head coach with only a month before a season. As Corey Philpott, though, has been a long-time member of the British Columbia Football Conference. Used to be the head coach of the Vancouver Trojans many, many years ago, and served on the BCFC executive board and has been involved with the Rams coaching staff as well. And he takes over for Howie Zarin, who is waiting to deal with some legal issues, some court issues that he is facing. Okay, so So we had an illegal block, if I can break this down for you here. Illegal block in the end zone. So that results in a single point for the Vancouver Island Raiders. So they are the first to score in this football game. And then we had a late unnecessary roughness penalty, so 15 yards added from where the Rams would have started, which was on their own 35-yard line. So the Raiders lead 1-0 midway through the first quarter. Rams with great field position here to start at their own 50-yard line. Their first possession, 1 first down, and then a punt. Trey Jones is in that shotgun set. Derek Best beside him. Raiders show blitz on first down. They come with pressure. Toss to the left side. Best has 5 yards. He is a powerful runner. 2nd and 5 right on the midfield stripe. Best behind his quarterback, Trey Jones. 3 wide receivers on the far side of the field. Jones, the southpaw, flushed, and he will get away from the first tackler, throw this ball complete, and a first down. Excellent job by Langley's quarterback, and then all sorts of flags coming out late in this play for what I would have to assume is a late out-of-bounds hit. Second time on that sideline we've seen an out-of-bounds hit, so the Rams moved the sticks. Trey Jones was in trouble immediately in the backfield on that play as Braden Charette broke through quickly, but he was able to get the ball out and a first down. I think it was Kabongo on that far sideline that pulled that pass in, and unnecessary roughness. Derek Best, the former Lord Tweedsmuir High School standout. He is a big, big body back there. Reminds me very much of the Rams 2019 running back Andrew Pokernich. And he had an exceptional record-breaking campaign that season. So a big first down pass combined with a major penalty. 1st and 10 Rams from the Raider 35. And there is a big defensive play, as breaking through is Nicholas Robinson, and the Raider faithful love that play as they get loud, the loudest they've been all game so far. 6:50 and ticking here left in this first quarter, 1-0 for the Vancouver Island Raiders. 2nd and 12 after the big defensive play up front there from Robinson. Trey Jones, the southpaw quarterback in the shotgun set. Kabongo in the slot at the top of the field. He'll come underneath and get the handoff. And he'll be taken down in the backfield as Kabongo tried to cut underneath for the slot handoff. And I think that was Guy Van McNally Hardesty who was right there to make that play. The veteran, another former all-star in this Raiders defense, stepping up for the backfield tackle, and the Rams will punt this ball away just outside of field goal range. Good snap. Pritchard gets a good kick away, bounces that, hit a Ram player. It's going to be no yards. Basically the definition of no yards when the ball hits you as it comes down. So with the penalty, the Raiders much better starting position than they initially were looking at there. 15 yards up to the 26-yard line here, where the Raiders will start their second possession. Their first ending in a single point. 5:40 left to go in the first quarter, 1-0 Raiders. Henderson left side, nice gain. Very good gain on first down. He's pulled down by Matteo Viani. Rams are running I suppose, a bit of an unconventional defensive set. 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 safeties. Traditionally, you would see a 4 linemen, 3 linebacker setup. I mean, I know The Okanagan Sun, I recall, have run a 3-4 at times, but to have 3 down linemen, not a traditional set. Rams are going to bring pressure here on 2nd and 5. Raiders will try a wide handoff, but that is not going to work as Marcel Grant came underneath, but it will be another punt here as the defenses show their strength here in the first quarter of this game. And you have to figure that having the nearly 2-year layoff and no preseason, that benefits the defenses for sure, because it takes a while for those offensive units to gel and come together. Whereas the defense is a much more reactionary game. Fly to the ball. Ethan Moran will punt. From his own 30. Not a great kick there. Off the side of the foot, goes out of bounds near midfield. And a flag comes out on there right at the end of the play. A couple of players tangled up on the far side of the field. Wind is really starting to whip up here, blowing in from what would be right to left across your screens. $15-yard penalty for unnecessary roughness at the end of that play. Sean Murray, the guilty party, and fantastic starting field position here. Best of the game for the Rams. The Raiders' 40-yard line is where Trey Jones will go under center for the first time in this game. The deep back is best. 3 wide receivers near side, 2 to the top. Raiders 4 men on the line. They'll toss it to Best. He lost his footing, and he will go down behind the line of scrimmage. And you can't blame the field anymore when you lose your footing in Nanaimo. That was a favorite refrain of visiting teams and the home team, frankly. The grass field, often a muddy mess, and the grass rarely got cut on game weeks in Nanaimo. Pretty typical to see players losing their footing there, but not quite as regular of an occurrence. It shouldn't be anyways on a beautiful brand new turf field. 3:20 left in the first quarter, 1-0 Raiders. Rams facing 2nd and 12 on the Raider 42-yard line. Jones, quick pass, that's on the money, and a first down. Still on his feet is Dallin, still on his feet and moving through the secondary is Ian Finstad. And that was a perfect pass from Trey Jones. Put it right on Finstad as he cut across the field on a slant from the top. And it's a first down inside the Raider 20-yard line. Rams threatening here inside 3 minutes in the first quarter. That was a perfect pass by Jones. Jones under center again. Best the deep back. Raiders 3 men on the line. Straight up the gut handoff, broken tackles, and a great gain on first down near the 10-yard line there. 2nd down and very short. And Best hits that line with a real authority. Size and a pretty explosive first few steps out of the backfield, and the Rams O-line is getting a nice push for him as well. He must be well over 30 yards rushing here in this first quarter already. The Rams tailback. 2nd and short. Near the 10-yard line. Jones shotgun. And there's a man even deeper in the backfield. That's Kevin Pashandy. Jones throws for Kabongo. Knocked down at the last second. Great defensive play by Lennox Murray. But there's a flag on the top side of the field. And we'll see who was offside there. That was a good throw, and Kabongo was open. And this penalty was against the Rams lining up offside. The Raiders, I would suspect, will decline. So it will be... Oh. Interesting. Raiders will accept the penalty. Would have been third down on a great defensive play in the corner of the end zone by Lennox Murray, but instead the Raiders accept the penalty, giving the Rams another chance here, albeit on 2nd and 8. Jones runs up quickly, has a word with his offensive lineman. Points off to his right side. Calls for the snap. Flag again here, as I think we had early movement. Jones is going to try and scramble, and he'll step out of bounds just behind the line of scrimmage. So the Raiders declining that offside penalty. And it'll bring on the field goal team. So our first field goal attempt of this game with 1:19 left in the first quarter. 1-0 Raiders in the lead. Good snap. Good hold. The kick is wide as Tate Williams misses that. And the Raiders are able to get it out of their end zone. So no points after a very good drive for the Langley Rams. But Tate Williams pushes the kick. And the Raiders escape any damage. So it remains 1-0 for the home side here. 1 minute to go in the first quarter. LeBerge sets up in the shotgun. Henderson behind him. Rams with 3 men across the line of scrimmage. They'll bring 4 in pressure. LeBerge pulls the ball out, but he didn't have anywhere to go as he got nose to nose at the line of scrimmage with Colton DeYoung and decided to hit the deck, and it'll be a very short gain, if anything, there on first down. Option play. LeBerge trying to read the defense. Actually not a bad gain. They gave him about 3.5, 4 yards as the clock winds down here in the first quarter. It's 2nd and 6. LeBerge under center. Play action. And not a great pass as LeBerge looked like he had a man at the top of the field open. And he skipped it in. Short throw. And that'll do it for the first quarter here. 1-0 the score as the Raiders get a punt single and the Rams miss a field goal. And that's where we stand heading in to the second quarter here in Nanaimo. There you go. So the second quarter starts with a punt from the Raiders. The ball was briefly on the turf there, but the Rams able to scoop it up. 1-0 for the home side here in Nanaimo. Fourth offensive series of the game for the Rams, and the second straight time they're starting in Raiders territory. Just crossed that golden midfield stripe. Trey Jones, the former Lord Tweedsmuir high schooler. Mike Best behind him in the backfield. Handoff. About 3 yards there for Derek Best. So second down, about 7 yards from the Raider 50-yard line here. Jones in the familiar shotgun set. Raiders 5 men with their hands in the dirt on that line of scrimmage. They'll bring 5-man pressure. Good protection. Jones throws deep and no one's there. As the closest Ram to that throw was Kevin Pashandi. But it will fall to the turf. And we will see another punt here. Out-of-town scoreboard in the British Columbia Football Conference. There were 2 other games today. Due to the COVID restrictions that are in place for the Okanagan region, for Kelowna and the Kamloops area, the BCFC shifting the games that were scheduled there to Chilliwack Exhibition Stadium in a neutral site. As this punt is a good one, end over end. And a hard hit there on that return as Brody Clark delivered a blow on Marcel Grant, stopping that return very quickly. So as I was saying, they shifted the games to be played in Chilliwack, so there's actually a doubleheader going on there today. And the early game, the Okanagan Sun taking on the West Shore Rebels, 62-6, the final score. As the Sun moved to 2-0 on this early season. The late game will be the Kamloops Broncos taking on the Valley Huskers. That's a 7:30 kickoff in Chilliwack. So the Raiders start from their own 20-yard line. Leading this game 1-0. LeBerge is going deep on the first throw, and he's got it right on the mark out to the 45-yard line. A 25-yard gain to Dylan Pye. And the best offensive play of the game for the Raiders. And LeBerge's best throw of this game, a quick strike right on the money. Yeah, the BCFC season kicked off last weekend with just the one game. It's the Okanagan Sun were victorious. 39-8 win over the Valley Huskers. So a first down after the big gainer, 25 yards. They'll hand it. Oh, it's a pull out by LeBerge, and he'll slide down and still get hit. And it's a bit of a gray area because LeBerge was clearly a runner there. It's not as though he was the quarterback trying to give himself up. He was clearly a runner, and despite sliding feet first, he took a bit of a rub from the Rams defenders. Drew a reaction from the Raider coaching staff, but no flags. 3 minutes into the second quarter, 1-0 Raiders lead this game on a single after a punt into the end zone. 2nd and 9 here. LeBerge back in his shotgun, flanked by 2 backs. Balance set. LeBerge, quick throw, deep, down the sideline. Flag is out as that ball falls incomplete. Dawson Marchant is going to get caught for grabbing the shoulder of Paul Romanoff. As Marchant had a pretty good handful of jersey and not a difficult call for the official there. So this drive will continue, and that has been a theme for this Rams defense so far in this game is penalties. The first drive of the game for the Raiders, the Rams took 2 majors and then also a third penalty for contacting the punter. And this is 15 yards and an automatic first down. Jake LeBerge, as I said off the top, a 23-year-old, beyond a veteran of what we're used to seeing as far as veterans go in the BCFC career. Over 7,000 passing yards, 59 touchdowns up against 40 interceptions. A career that has been very impressive and productive for this Raiders team. A fumble here on the snap and recovered. Nice work by Garrett Kopp, the offensive lineman, jumping on that as the handoff between Henderson and LeBerge was not clean, and clearly the gloves' fault as Henderson tosses his gloves to the sidelines. Can't trust those anymore. 4 minutes into the second quarter, 1-0 Raiders. So a big loss, but not a turnover at least. So 2nd and 15, just inside the midfield's Rams territory here. LeBerge in that shotgun set again. He's got 2 players on either side of him. Trips to the top side of the field. LeBerge, first target not there, second target is there, short of the sticks. Can the Raiders get a first down? The answer no, as Marion Bradbrook was tripped up, beat one man but not another. And it will be 3rd down, and LeBerge is not going to the sidelines, and he's looking at his offensive coordinator, Colin Pippy, and getting a play here. So there will not be a punt. The Raiders going to go for it for the 2nd time in this game on 3rd down. Although the first time they never actually did snap the ball, they took a delay of game penalty. So 3rd down, about 4 yards the Raiders need here. Henderson's in an I formation here under center LeBerge. First time the Raiders have tried an I formation this game. They'll toss it to Henderson, and he will be stopped deep in the backfield. A turnover on downs. So the first turnover, technically, of this game will be a turnover on downs, and the Rams will get the ball at their own 45-yard line. Not really a bad decision, really, there to go for it for the Raiders, because actually this will be the worst starting field position that the Rams have had for 3 consecutive drives. So not too costly, the turnover on downs. 9:45 to go in the second quarter. 1-0. The Raiders lead the Rams here on BCFCTV.com. My name is Dominic Abbasi. Thanks so much for joining us on the online broadcast here tonight. Jones on a handoff keeper, and he's going to hit the deck right about at the line of scrimmage. Langley Rams, 2-time defending BCFC champions. Back-to-back seasons, their campaign has come to a close with a loss to the Saskatoon Hilltops in the Canadian Bowl final. They are not alone in that category. Hilltops have won 6 consecutive Canadian Bowls. 9 of the last 10 national championships have gone to the blue and gold. Blitz right away into the backfield. Jones hung in there, and that is not going to be far enough for a first down, as Pritchard had to slide to get that pass, and he will be just short of the sticks, which are just over midfield, and the ball spotted right on midfield. Jones did well to get that ball out as the Raiders brought pressure, and they came through the middle immediately into the backfield. And head coach Corey Philpott calling a timeout with 8:21 left to go in the first half of this game. His team trailing 1-0, facing a 3rd and inches from midfield. And we are going to see, I presume, the Rams offense remain on the field. As I said, a really tough loss for the Rams in that Canadian Bowl in 2019. At home, 11-6. An absolute grind of a game against the Hilltops, but unable to score enough points to bring home a Canadian Bowl championship for the BCFC. The Raiders were the last BCFC team to win a Canadian Bowl. That was in 2009, not too far from where we are now, just down the street at Caledonia Park. And again, if you're just tuning in and wondering, what is this field they're playing at in Nanaimo? This is the first game ever played, first junior football game that is ever played here at the NDSS Community Field. That's Nanaimo District Secondary School, just in the background of the field here. This gorgeous turf field was built in 2018 and will be the new home of the BI Raiders after 14 seasons at Caledonia Park. So 3rd and inches after a Ram timeout. Clock back running. Jones not in the game as the Rams are going to bring in another quarterback here on the short yardage package. I think that's Paul Romanoff. Or is it Ben Chomalak? I can't quite see the number from up here. Yeah, it was Romanoff that came in and plunges that ahead, and it is good for a first down. So the first real gamble of the game for the Rams, and that works out. Andrew Bushler, the offensive coordinator. Of course, the Bushler last name is very much associated with the history of the Rams program, although more in the Surrey Rams or the South Fraser Rams back in the day, but now the Langley Rams. Jones throws up the seam and just out of the reach of Kabongo as he was wide open, streaking up the seam. And that was just over the fingertips. Would have been probably to the house, as Kabongo had nobody really around him in a black and red jersey. Speaking of jerseys, the Rams wearing new jerseys this year. The gold with the blue pants. Last couple of seasons, it's been more of kind of a blue and white look for the Rams, but switching things up here. Raiders rolled out their black and red with the white trim a couple of seasons ago now. So 2nd and 10 from the Raider 52-yard line. Jones in the shotgun, Kabongo and Best behind him. Kabongo goes in motion, Jones throws up the seam, incomplete. And you have to put the ball in a better spot than that when you have a perennial all-star in Guy Van McNally Hardesty in the secondary there, as he had that play dialed in, but he is now down. And the first time today we will see the training staff come out onto the field. 7:13 remaining in the first half, 1-0. The Raiders leading this football game, a punt single, the only score we've seen. Rams have missed a field goal. Penalty flag is holding on the Rams, and that will be declined as the rain begins to fall here in Nanaimo again. As I said earlier, it rained all day, quite heavily in the morning. Didn't rain at kickoff, and it was pretty fine conditions really at kickoff, but now the wind is picking up and the rain is starting to come down again. As McNally Hardesty is able to get off the field under his own power, a good sign, as he is, well, arguably the best defensive player for the Raiders team. Here's a bad punt off the side of the foot of Pritchard, and it will be good field position for the Raiders for their 5th offensive possession of this game. About the 32-yard line, so actually not that fantastic a field position. A lot of continuity for the Raiders as far as a coaching staff perspective goes. Same with the Rams as well. Almost exclusively former players are coaching and involved in running the Raiders team. And again, that's very similar to a lot of teams in this league. You love to see that progression. Players go off and play university or at another level and then come back to give back to the junior game. LeBerge, just out of the reach as he tried to lay that out for Grant. And Really excellent arm strength shown there by LeBerge, rolling against his arm, the right-handed quarterback rolling left, and he kind of just shot put that ball 25 yards down the field, but too far for his receiver Grant, who was open. And we have not really seen either quarterback quite get into any kind of a rhythm with the passing game in this game, although to be fair, neither offense has gotten into much of a rhythm, as evidenced by our 1-0 score line right now. 2nd and 10, 33-yard line. LeBerge shotgun set. Rams show pressure. They come with 5-man. Good pass pro initially, but it breaks down. LeBerge reverse spins out of the pocket, and he will not get the first down as he scampers out of bounds just short of the 40-yard line. And we'll see another special teams play as a relatively heavy rain starts to fall here. How will that affect this game? I had to think, too, today as I was preparing for the broadcast. It's a little bit, I don't know if ironic is the right word, but it's interesting because had this game been played at Caledonia Field today, it would have been a mess. The field would have been muddy. By this point in the game, the whole middle strip of the field would have been torn out of the grass, and it would have completely changed the face of this game, as we have seen so many times over the previous 14 seasons here in Nanaimo, that the field comes into play, especially later in the season in the fall, as Doyle Westland does a nice job on punt coverage there, taking down Beko Wande about his own 50-yard line, and that's where the Rams will start. And so, yeah, had this game been played at the traditional home of the Raiders in Caledonia Park, it would have been a mess of a game. Very muddy, poor footing. But instead, they're on a pristine turf field, and we'll see what, if any, impact the weather has here. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a slick ball as the rain falls. As we move later into the evening here with the lights on. 5.5 minutes to go in the first half. 1-0 Raiders. Play action. Over the middle, and that is on the money and a first down. Perfect pass to Kevin Pashandi. And will this be a momentum builder for the Rams? Other than some penalties on their defense, it's been a clean game for Langley. They have not turned the ball over. They have not made too many major mistakes. Same can be said for the Raiders, other than a turnover on downs. So 1st and 10 after the completion to Pashandi. Do they pass twice in a row here, or do they go back to the big back best? Well, so much for that momentum. They try to change the snap count, and that does not pay off. I think it was Nikos Lazaraskis, who was 2019 All-Star at the offensive line position. Rams had a host of All-Stars in 2019, which you would assume for a 10-0 championship team. In 2019, the Rams won both matchups against the Raiders, 42-30 at home in Week 1 and 28-3 in Week 6 here in Nanaimo. Rams have won 3 consecutive games overall against the Raiders, although how relevant the historical stats are 22 months removed from the last season. 4:40 to go in the first half, 1-0 Raiders. 1st and 15 after the false start. Handoff underneath the Kabongo, no doing there. Robinson, who's made a couple of big plays in the backfield in this first half, shoots through there. So a very, very daunting second down facing the Rams offense here. Call it 2nd and 20. Play action. Time over the middle, incomplete, off the fingertips of Pritchard. And we will see the 5th punt of the game by the Rams offense. 5 punts and a missed field goal for them. We have not seen any big plays yet in this football game. Raiders have a 25-yard completion. Rams' longest play probably under 20 yards. As these offenses still working out some of the kinks here. 3.5 minutes left in the second quarter. 1-0. Raiders, Pritchard. He's nailed. That's roughing the kicker. And unfortunate. The punter, Pritchard, is down as he really took a shot there, and I think he kind of hyperextended his knee, his plant leg. Oh dear, you hate to see that. And a very well-deserved major penalty there. As Pritchard got nailed right after he kicked that ball. He is down. And he is up. Well, that is a good sign right there because that did not look great. As he got torpedoed on his plant leg, but will be able to get off the field under his own power. So we're roughing the kicker major. Instead of the ball on offense, the Raiders defense back out. Fresh set of downs inside the 45-yard line. Rams looking to get their first points of this game as we near the 3-minute warning. Jones calls his receiver in motion. Only 5 seconds to snap the ball here. And he gets it off. He has time. No one to throw to, though. He's going to use his legs. Now lets loose and incomplete right through the arms of Brody Clark. Not a bad throw, and probably one that Clark would like to say he could have back, although it would have been a tough catch. Three-minute warning. 1-0 Raiders with the lead. First game in almost 2 years for these two football teams. Earlier today, the Okanagan Sun moving to 2-0 with a blowout victory over the West Shore Rebels. Later this evening, the Valley Huskers will take on the Kamloops Broncos, and that will be the second game of the season for the Huskers. First game for the Broncos. 2nd and 10. Can the Rams make points off of a roughing the kicker penalty against the Raiders? They'll need to get a first down if they want to. Jones rolls right and he throws it into near the stands. And we will see the punt team again. And that's the second time this game, at least, that it's been a designed rollout to the right for the left-handed quarterback. And I wonder why you would design a play in that way. You usually do not want to put your quarterback in a position where he has to throw against his body and against the way that he's running. So now, with Pritchard still being tended to by the training staff, the Rams are going to have to bring on Xavier Cole to punt here. How does this affect things? Well, actually not a bad kick at all. A line drive that bounces at the 10. It'll be scooped up at the goal line. Nice room up the left sidelines. And a good return there by Marcel Grant. So the Raiders will start their 6th offensive possession of the first half at their own 15-yard line. 2:27 left to go. 1-0 Raiders lead this game. Rain continues to fall. wind picking up. I think it's more kind of gusting across the field as opposed to from one end or another. There's no flags here to try and get a read on it, but he sort of feels like it's kind of blowing maybe from right to left. So into the face of the Raiders offense here. First down. Grant cuts underneath, and they're going to throw to him after the fake, and that is going nowhere. Great play by Colton DeYoung in that secondary.
Not in this close at all. We're changing the plans.
So 2nd and 12 after the Rams force a negative play on first down. LeBerge to throw. Now he's going to run. And he's got the first down and still on his feet to the 30-yard line. A 15-yard gain for the veteran quarterback. He is mobile, not known necessarily to break pocket, but is mobile. Had 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions last season, although injury shortened for Jake LeBerge in 2019, and now the Raiders will call a timeout here with a minute 58 on the clock. Again, thanks so much for joining us here on BCFC TV. Dominic Abassi. I have to thank our crew as well, Alan Felker on the camera beside me, handling the technical side of things. Thanks for being with us and taking in junior football for the first time in 2 years, no 2020 season. And this really is probably, I guess, when you think about it, the first real high-level organized sport that has been played in Nanaimo in probably almost 2 years. Of course, the Nanaimo Clippers played some games during the pandemic, but nowhere near a full season, a bit of an island pod for the BCHL club here in town. And the fans have showed up well, especially considering the weather. It is blustery, it is not particularly warm, and it is raining, and there is no cover for those stands across the field from our broadcast location. But regardless, a nice turnout here for the return of junior football during pandemic. We are not out of it yet, for sure. First down handoff. Henderson tries the left side. No go there. Rams have done a nice job against the run in this first half. Really not much room for the Raiders on the ground. Interesting that how different the whole environment here is at this new field for the Raiders. They actually have the clocks for the as a deep pass there falls incomplete. They actually have the clocks in either end zone for the play clock, which they never had at Caledonia Park. It was not a field known for its amenities, but a fantastic home for the Raiders nonetheless. So the Raiders to punt, with a minute 40 to go in the first half. Moran just got that off, and you can see the effects of the pressure as he kind of just shot that one on a line drive to midfield. And the Rams will again have very good field position for their 7th offensive possession, but they have yet to turn that into any points. This is the 3rd time that the Rams have started inside Raider territory. And this will be inside the 40 as well, I think, or just outside the 40. There is a flag to sort out. No yards against the Raiders. The Raider 35-yard line is where the Rams will start, their best starting field position of this game. Trailing 1-0. They've got a minute and a half left in this first half, and they have timeouts, so plenty of time. They're going to throw end zone wide open, touchdown! Darian Pritchard back in the game, and he was all by himself in the end zone. An easy touchdown, the first of the season for the Rams, and they take the lead. And there you have your left-handed quarterback rolling out to his left, and look at the ability to throw, changes completely. He's able to get his momentum behind it and throw a perfect strike, although, to be fair, probably one of the easier touchdown passes of Trey Jones' career, as Darian Pritchard was all alone, a blown coverage, and the first touchdown of the season for the Rams is on the board. The extra point is no good after a botched hold. So it'll be 6-1 for the Rams after it was a good snap but a botched hold. And with a minute 18 left, the Raiders offense will get potentially their last drive of this first half. And you know the Raiders coaching staff will be trying to discern how exactly Darian Pritchard was that wide open in the back of the end zone. It will not be a fun film session for the defensive backs when they review that on the start of practice next week. Tate Williams will kick off here after the Rams touchdown. Bouncing and scooped up by Mackenzie Nofield, and Raiders will start inside their own 20-yard line. And the Rams really had dominated the field position for the entire first half, and they were finally able to make it pay off on that last drive. And the Raiders have not had great field position. This is the 7th offensive drive of the first half of the Raiders. 6 punts and a turnover on down and a single point. And they trail by 5. With 75 seconds to go before the break. Can the veteran LeBerge lead his club on a late half march here? He will pass on play action. Floats it up and it's caught. Wow. That ball really by all rights should have been intercepted. And Dylan Pye came back to the ball as they teach you to do. Not every receiver does it, but Dylan Pye did it there. And now they're gonna wave that off and say it was not a catch. There's some debate. The Rams didn't seem to think Pye caught that ball, and he did not. So scratch that. He still gets credit for trying to fight back to the ball on an underthrown pass, but no credit for a catch, and it's 2nd down and 10. And the Raiders, you know, if they turn the ball over quickly here, the Rams are going to have good field position and a chance to maybe put up more points before the half. LeBerge is scrambling. Can he find anywhere? He's got a lot of room to run and a man wide open as well. He must not see him, and now he'll throw, and it'll be intercepted. Picked off by Nathan Murray. And the Rams will get an interception and a late flag. And Jake LaBerge had a man wide open who was waving his arms up and down, but the Raider quarterback must not have seen him. Instead, tried to float it over the middle of the field, and it was picked off by Nathan Murray. So the first turnover, well, second official turnover, there's been a turnover on down, and now an interception. But the Rams will lose some ground here because of an unnecessary roughness penalty after the interception. So they'll start deep back into their own territory. And that is actually a very notable penalty because with 45 seconds left in this first half, they would have been starting in Raider territory. Instead, now a much longer field to get points before the break as they lead this game 6-1. So momentum's shifting to the visitors here. A touchdown, now an interception, now an opportunity for late half points. Trey Jones in the shotgun. He's going to roll left again. And again makes a perfect throw to Kabongo and a first down out of bounds. Perfect start to the drive for Langley. A first down into Raider territory, and they get out of bounds to stop the clock. As the rain gets heavier here in Nanaimo. "39 seconds on the clock. Ball just inside the Raider 50-yard line. And again, Trey Jones rolling to his left, looking very effective. Again rolling left. He's being chased, and he'll step out of bounds. Just a short loss as Braden Belton and Doyle Westland were in hot pursuit. Robinson in the area too. Maybe a negligible gain there on first down. Clock not running, 33 seconds left in the half. Second and pretty much 10. Rams throwing it, dropped as McNally Hardesty got hit by Pritchard. Good defensive play by the receiver to break up an interception, but incomplete, and third down will bring up a punt as McNally Hardesty in the area. Not any stranger to be in the area of the ball is Givan McNally Hardesty. 5 interceptions in 2019. He was 5th in the BCFC in points by a defender. He has 15 career interceptions in what has been a standout career in that Raiders secondary. 25 seconds left. Pritchard is back in the game punting. That one is way out of bounds. So the Rams not able to add late points to their total. And the Raiders will have decent field position, but very little time, 22 seconds. Trailing this game 6-1. First down at the 35. They'll hand off to Henderson. Cole Barron and Kyle Clarat in the area there. About 6 yards on first down. Clarat, a 2-time All-Canadian. That's the first time we've called his name tonight, and that's generally a good thing when you're a defensive back. Handoff right up the gut. And a good drive in the pile. It looks as though they've spotted this as a first down with only 6 seconds on the clock, though. Although the Raiders have taken a timeout here.
No, nothing. I took it off. I know.
What will the Raiders draw up here? I'm going to guess probably just a handoff. Oh, and a fumble. I think the Raiders will be happy to get out of this first half here with the score how it is and the possession not being turned over. And that's the second time we've seen a bit of an awkward handoff exchange between Henderson and LeBerge in that Raider backfield. And yeah, probably wise here. The Raiders are going to take a knee. And that'll do it for the first half of this football game. Each team had 8 offensive possessions. The Rams Welcome back for second half action here on BCFC TV. As the Rams kick the ball away and the Raiders scoop it up around their own 25-yard line. Thanks so much for joining us here on our broadcast, BCFC TV. My name is Dominic Abassi. We're here live at the NDSS Community Field in Nanaimo. First half, Rams 6, Raiders 1. As the Raiders were only able to get points on their very first drive of the game. A single on a punt into the Rams' end zone. The Rams, for their efforts, not able to generate much until late in the half when Trey Jones threw a 35-yard touchdown strike right on the money to Darian Pritchard, and the Rams had their major. The extra point was no good as the Raiders throw incomplete here on first down. So it was just that really one big play on a blown coverage, Jones to Pritchard, that got the Rams with their 6-1 lead. Other than that, it was a pretty uneventful half from an offensive perspective. A lot of punts. Raiders had 2 turnovers, 1 on downs, 1 interception by Nathan Murray, as LeBerge threw an ill-advised pass over the middle of the field. 2nd and 10 here from the 25-yard line. Flag out, free play. LeBerge can't find a target though, and his pass eventually tipped and falls incomplete. I believe offside on the defense here. It is raining much more heavily now than it was at the start of this football game. In fact, it really wasn't raining at kickoff. It had rained all day here in Nanaimo, and now it is pretty heavy coming down. You can probably maybe see it in the lights here as dusk settles in Nanaimo, the lights on. And really you have to credit a pretty good crowd here at this game, considering the fact that there is no cover for the stands at this field. So the fans that are here are braving the elements. It's pretty windy as well. If I had to give it a direction, I would say the wind is at the back of the Raider offense right now, as they have a 2nd and 5 after the penalty, a handoff to Henderson. One of his best gains of the day, I think, will be enough for a first down. Huge thank you to Paul Short, statistician extraordinaire, for some first half stats here. The Raiders offensively, not much to talk about really. Their leading rusher was their quarterback, Jake LeBerge, who had 6 carries for 31 yards. Henderson, their starting running back, only had 17 yards on his attempts in that first half. LeBerge 4 of 7 passing for 30 yards, and the Raiders' leading receiver was Dylan Pye as he racked up 26 yards all on 1 catch. And the Raiders had 6 penalties for 70 yards and a total of 6 first downs in that first half. So 6 first downs, 70 yards worth of penalties, and their leading passer had 30 yards, their leading rusher had 31 yards. So you get a sense of really not a lot of movement going on for that Raider offense, and a single point on a punt into the end zone, all that they could muster up in the first 30 minutes of this football game. 2nd and about 7 here, the ball at the Raider 40-yard line. Jake LeBerge, only 4 completions in this game, really uncharacteristic inefficiency for a 23-year-old veteran in this league, and he doesn't have a target here. He's going to have to make something happen. Breaking tackles, throws, is it picked off? Yeah, no indication yet. And yes, it is an interception. Dawson Marchant pulls that in. So an interception, the 2nd of the game. And the Rams will start at the Raider 45-yard line. Again, starting inside Raider territory, as they have done many times in this game. 2nd turnover of this football game for the Raider offense. Or 3rd, I should say. 2nd interception. Jones will throw on first down, but this will fall incomplete. First half stats for the Rams: 7 first downs, 23 total rushing yards, 31 yards for Mike Best on 7 carries. And they will definitely, the Rams, I think, want to look to get back to their rushing game, which was very effective in the first quarter, and then they just kind of got away with it. Trey Jones at the quarterback position, 6 of 14 for 102 yards, a 38-yard touchdown catch for Darian Pritchard, and Pritchard was the leading receiver for the Rams, 2 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown. 2nd and 10, the pass, Kabongo pulls that in, and he'll scamper up the right sideline and have close to, if not, I think it is first down yardage. 105 yards worth of penalties on 12 penalties in the first half for the Rams. So the Rams were, I think their biggest miscues were with the penalties. Other than that, they've played a very clean game, and they've staked themselves to a 6-1 lead here. It was a first down on that pass to Kabongo. So a fresh set of downs inside the Raider 35. Handoff to Best, nowhere to go. Wow. Great penetration from the Raider front. Andrew Itondo in there, but now we got a flag. And I think this might go against the Rams as well. The Raider coaching staff told me to watch out for Itondo today. They said I would see him play, make plays, and he did there, breaking through the front. Backfield stop combined with a penalty on the end of the play here. And that's going to put the Rams well back. Unnecessary roughness against Spencer Schmidtke from that Ram offensive line. Just about 4 minutes into the third quarter. 6-1, Rams have the lead. They are backed up 2nd and a mile here. Jones is going to run now. Got a long way to go to even get back to the original line of scrimmage, and he will not. He'll chunk off probably about 10 yards just outside the 40, and 3rd down. And you wonder, and the Rams think it should be 2nd down, but it is a loss of down penalty when you take a roughing penalty at the end of a play. So that argument will be in vain. And a big stop for the Raider defense after an interception by Jake LeBerge. The Raiders are able to stiffen on defense and will force a punt here by the Rams. We have not seen any prolific plays on special teams tonight, really. Pritchard with a good kick there. Left foot boot fielded by Brad Brook, and he'll be tripped up. Nice play downfield there by Brody Clark, and he's made a couple of nice plays on special teams, has Clark. He had a big hit in the first half as well on a punt coverage. So 10.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. 6-1 for the 2-time defending BCFC champion Langley Rams. 10-0 in 2019, undefeated season. 5 points short of a Canadian Bowl championship as they lost 11-6 to the Saskatoon Hilltops in their home park in Langley. And you'd have to figure, for a Raiders team that was 5-5 in 2019, to come out and be trailing only 6-1 after the first half to the Rams, probably you'd say you would take that all day. Because really, you can't ask for much more to be within one score of the 2-time defending champions after a half of football. Pass complete there to Brad Brook on first down. Good 6-yard gain on what was a receiver screen, although there were no blocks. Brad Brook just made 2 men miss. just outside the 20-yard line here for the Raiders. They have been hemmed back in their own half of the field all day. Hard count blitz from the Rams. Nice evasive action as Vicklin missed LeBerge, and he gets the first down. Nice bit of work from the Raiders quarterback to improvise as Keegan Vicklin came clean off the left side. He timed his blitz perfectly out of the secondary. And LeBerge scampers up the left sideline, but there is a flag down here, so offside against Paul Romanoff. So that will negate a very good first down run. And now you've got a 2nd and 10 back at about your own 15-yard line for the Raiders. 9:20 remaining in the third quarter. It is 6-1 for the visiting Langley Rams. LeBerge in trouble, and he'll be dropped in the backfield there. The Rams, Ryan Bathelson, I think, was the man who eventually dropped Jake LeBerge. And the field position woes are going to continue for the Raiders here, as they'll be punting this ball out of their own end zone wall unless they decide to yield a single point. And they may do that. Or 2 points, I should say, and give up a safety. Yeah, so the Raiders will do that. But that is not it's relatively notable 2 points there, though, because it's going to give the Rams a full 7-point lead now. They were leading 6-1 after a missed extra point on their touchdown, but the Raiders give up 2 points, and so it is a 7-point lead for Langley, 8-1. And the Rams will start this possession on their own 35-yard line. So if nothing else, the Raiders give up 2 points, and they maybe finally have a chance to break out of the field position loss that they've been suffering from. Well, they'll kick off here. So yet to be seen where the Rams will start exactly. Eight minutes to go in the third quarter. 8-1 Langley Rams. Raiders tried an onside kick to start the ball game. They won't do any trickery here. Oh, the kick is fumbled by Fleary, and now he'll be dropped inside his own 30, but there is a flag down late. The rain continues to fall heavily here in Nanaimo. But again, a very healthy crowd here for the return of junior football in Nanaimo. Face mask against the Raiders. We'll add 15 yards to the end of the return here.
Unnecessary rough. Face masking. Raiders number 20. 15 yards. First down.
Rams will start at their own 40-yard line, their first possession of this half, ending in a punt. And for me, really, I think the Rams need to start putting the ball back into the hands of Mike Best. He had 31 yards on just 7 carries in the first half, and really we didn't see much out of him after the first quarter. And he was great in the first quarter. Looked very tough to handle, and that ball is incomplete. Jones was rocked as he let go of that ball. He had a man wide open. I think it was Pritchard, but the ball was underthrown, understandably, because Jones was seconds away from getting cracked in the backfield. And it will be an incomplete pass, but troubling for the Raiders that, again, a Rams player was all alone in their secondary. So a 2nd and full 10 here. Halfway through the third quarter, Rams with a touchdown lead. Night falls here in Nanaimo, and this is a novelty in and of itself. The first time ever a junior football game has been played under the lights in Nanaimo. There's a pass up the seam. Pritchard's got it. Ball's out. No, it's incomplete. Great tackle coming from the backside there to make the play. I believe that was Sean Adams, who delivered a blow on contact at the second that Pritchard was about to catch that ball. That would have been a big gain into Raider territory, but an incomplete pass instead. And you really can't fault Pritchard for not being able to hang on to that. The combo of the weather and the heavy rain and then taking a heavy hit as he put that ball in his hands. Incomplete and a punt. Bad snap. Pritchard pulls it down, kicks on the run. Not a bad kick. Flag is down. Ball is down. Another flag is down. One of the Raiders players got blasted in the back there by a Ram, and you don't normally see what would be tantamount to a block in the back on the kicking team. It's not something you normally would see there. The Rams are going to be penalized for sure once here. This will be the only meeting between these two teams this year. As with a shortened 8-game schedule, every team will not play everyone twice. So it's no yards and a first down, 5 yards. Raiders will start just about the 50. For the Raiders, their next game, and they catch a break here from the readjusted schedule, they would have had to travel all the way to Kamloops next weekend. Instead, that game will be played neutral site in Chilliwack. So a bit of an easier road trip for the Raiders, although they traditionally have played very poorly in Chilliwack on the road. And then the Raiders will take on the Okanagan Sun here at home. LeBears to throw on first down, spins out of first contact away from another defender and is able to just lob that ball for incomplete. Really good pressure there from Pauljeet Dami, but he was unable to bring down the Raider quarterback, and it's just an incompletion. For the Rams, their next action, next weekend they'll take on the Okanagan Sun at home. And then they'll be in Chilliwack to take on the Valley Huskers on September 25th, and then back home against West Shore on October the 2nd. Second down, full 10 yards the Raiders need. They're just inside their own 50-yard line. Rams lead 8-1, 6:50 left to go in the third quarter. LeBears throws up the seam. He's got a man. That's incomplete, but pass interference. And that was a pretty easy call for the referees there, as Dylan Pye was going to pull that one in, but Dawson Marchant came over the back early. And to be honest, not really a bad penalty, because that would have been much more than a 15-yard gain. Instead, it will be just a 15-yard penalty. Of course, pass interference is not a spot foul in the CJFL. So instead of giving up a 25-plus yard pass, Marchant made the choice to give up a 15-yard penalty. And either way, a first down, and the Raiders will move into Ram territory for the first time in this half. LeBear's calling out signals. And the Raiders are going to fake the snap and then reset and do it again. Delayed handoff. Good gain. 5 yards on first down. Cole Barron in the area for the tackle there. A veteran. All-star last year was Cole Barron. 30 tackles, 6.5 sacks last year for Cole Barron. He's a big man in the middle of this Ram defense. Raiders need 5. Second down. 3 wide receivers on the near side of the field. Henderson beside LeBerge. They'll go back to the tailback. He's grinding here, but he's being pulled from behind. He will not have enough for a first down. What is the choice here for Curtis Visa and the Raider coaching staff? It's a punt. Probably the conservative but smart choice here because this is a one-score football game. There's no need to get desperate at this point. 1 score, 5 minutes left to go in this third quarter. Plenty of time. Counter action on that handoff, and you automatically start your running back with a bit of a slow getting off the ball there. This is a really good punt by Moran. Fielded by Kamongo at his own 10. He'll try to go wide side. He does have a corner over there, but he won't make it. Doyle Westland on the tackle. And the Rams will start deep on their own 15. Rams have back-to-back punts so far in this half for their offensive possessions. They've had 11 possessions, 7 punts so far today. Oh, Trey Jones drops the ball, but he breaks 2 tackles, and he's going to turn this into a positive play. As he put that ball on the carpet initially, but was able to run for about 5, I would say. The Rams touchdown, a 36-yard strike from Jones to Darian Pritchard late in the second quarter. And that put them up with a missed extra point, 6-1 at the half. The Raiders have given up a safety in this second half intentionally. And so we're looking at an 8-1 Ram lead with 4 minutes to go in the third. Sweep to the wide side of the field here on second down, as that's Xavier Fleary on the carry. And he will not have enough for the first down. So the punt team will come on for the Langley Rams and Corey Philpott's club. Pritchard shanks it, but he gets a favorable bounce. And the Raiders, with markers down, put the ball at the Ram 45. This will be the first time this game that the Raiders are starting in Rams territory. They've had 11 previous drives, and their best starting position was their own 50-yard line, which was on the last drive that they had. So This will be their best starting position of the day, trailing by 7 points. Late third quarter, can the Raiders turn it into points? LeBerge in the shotgun, first down. High snap, pulls it in, time, throws, sailed it over the head of Marcel Grant. And this has just really not been a smooth performance from Jake LeBerge. As I've been talking about today, he's a veteran. He's 23 years old, over 7,000 passing yards in his career, 59 career touchdowns he's thrown. But as has been the case in his career, ball management has not always been efficient. Up against those 59 touchdowns, LeBerge has also thrown 40 interceptions, and he's thrown 2 interceptions tonight. And so that's not the ratio you'd love to see from an elite quarterback. And this one is going to be picked off again. And look out! The Rams are going to have a chance to take this one back. And a big touchdown-saving tackle from Jason Henderson as LeBerge throws a very ill-advised pass. Right into the hands of Nathan Murray. And that will be his second interception of the game. I'll have to check with the official statistician here. Was that 34?
I thought it was more.
Yeah. We'll have to see who gets credited with that interception. I thought it was Nathan Murray, but either way, it's a pickoff, a huge return, and a first down deep in Raider territory, and a pass towards the goal line will set up a second and near goal as Ian Finstad pulls that one in. So the third interception of the game for Jake LeBerge. Rams start at the Raider 15-yard line. And a penalty here against the Raider defense. So it's first and goal now. Huge swing and momentum late in this third quarter. The Raiders thought they did have their best field position of the game so far. And Jake LeBerge throws a gimme interception into the arms of a Ram defender. Now a first and goal. The Rams trying to add to their 1 touchdown lead. They'll go with a quarterback keeper, and it is in. Tate Williams plunges ahead. A 1-yard touchdown run. And it'll be 14-1 with an extra point to come. Oh, Rams are going to go for 2. I can hear their coaching staff yelling right now. I don't really necessarily know why they would go for 2 here. They're up by 13 at this moment, so an extra point would make it a 2-score lead, but the Rams are going to bring their offense out here to go for 2. Jones under center. He's going to pass to Finstad on the slant, and he's got it. So 16-1. The Rams stretch their lead. A 1-yard touchdown plunge by Tate Williams, the backup quarterback who they've used on short yardage a couple of times tonight. And the Rams' second major of the day, plus a 2-point conversion, has them up 16-1. And after scoring the touchdown, Williams will kick it off as well. And the Raiders will start at their own 30-yard line roughly. So it is really, well, I was just going to say it's time for Jake LeBerge to turn things around here and get his offense rolling, because it has not been pretty so far for the Raiders quarterback. The first half, not very efficient at all, as LeBerge was 4 of 7 for 30 yards in the first half. He had an interception, and in this half he's throwing 2 interceptions. The last one leading to a Ram major. The veteran pivot will hand off to Henderson here on first down. And the Ram front has been very good against the run tonight. It's part of the problem, I suppose, when you can't get your run game rolling, it's hard to get your passing game going too. Late third quarter, Rams up 16-1 right now. Second and 10, I should say. Oh, the first. LeBerge. All kinds of time, and he misses 2 targets in the middle of the field, and it will be third down. They didn't change the down marker there. That's why I was confused. I thought it was second down, and it was, so the incomplete pass makes it third down. So really not what the Raiders needed. They throw an interception, they give up a touchdown, and then a 2-and-out. And this momentum is absolutely full on the side of the Rams right now. No question. There's a really good pump by Moran. End over end. Forcing the Ram returner to backpedal. Fleary is going to run to the near side of the field and then turn it up and cross the midfield stripe. And the Rams will start it on the Raiders side of the field again. So it's been really kind of a slowly building slugfest here. Not much offense from either team for almost all of the first half, but the Rams dominating the field position game. They finally are able to break through late in the first half with a long touchdown pass and really a catastrophic start. No, don't think I'm being over dramatic with that, to this second half for the Raiders, as they have thrown 2 interceptions. They've yielded a safety, and now the Rams, with a 15-point lead, are starting in Raider territory, and they hand it off to the big back, the Lord Tweedsmuir grad, Mike Best, and he gets 6+ yards on first down. And that is going to be the final seconds of the third quarter ticking away here. This should be, I think, the last play of this third quarter. Second and 5. Ball on the Raider 47-yard line. I formation. Best is the deep back. Jones under center. And that is not going to be it. That is a big play from the Raider defense. Braden Belton and Andrew Itondo get in the middle. Really a key stop there. And do the Rams consider going for it? Maybe trying to really stamp out a comeback effort here? I don't think they are, though. The third quarter in the books. Again, thank you for being here with us on the broadcast. My name is Dominic Abassi. Alan Felker. Beside me with the technical support, and Paul Short, our statistician, in the booth here. The first ever game played at night in Nanaimo for junior football. The first ever game for the Raiders here at the Nanaimo District Secondary School Community Field, which will become their new home. As they move out of Caledonia Park after 14 seasons, a field where they won 2 Canadian Bowls. Junior football returning after the no 2020 season. It'll be a shortened season, only 8 games per team, and starting later as well. Normally we get started late July and August. That's a bad snap. Pritchard gets it. Now he's going to be flushed out and tackled. Huge play by the Raiders special team. And that is the first turnover of the day for the Rams. I believe that'll be scored a turnover on downs. Yeah. So scored a turnover on downs. Absolutely huge play. Although really what matters now is what can Jake LeBerge and this Raider offense do with it. They'll start in Ram territory for the second time this half, but the last time they threw an interception. Early fourth quarter, Rams have a 16-1 lead. LeBerge trying to throw quickly, but he's got to run, and he's got a nice gain as he slides inside the 40. It's second and about 3. Handoff. It's all about the spot here. And they're going to bring out the sticks. Measurement will determine if this is a first down or if it's third down. It's short. Third down. You must go for it here if you're the Raiders. Can't imagine any other choice. 13 and a half minutes remaining in this football game. It is a 16-1 Rams lead. The Raiders facing a 3rd and inches in Ram territory after a big turnover on downs, which was really the first positive play of this half for the Raiders. So here we have it. Will they go with the QB keeper? Or will they hand it off? The line is stacked. They're going to toss it. Henderson makes a man miss, but he is not going to get it. Big play by the Ram defense. Keegan Vickland set the edge. Henderson could not get upfield, and it's a turnover on downs. The 5th turnover of the game for the Raiders, the second time they've turned it over on downs. And a huge play by that Ram defense. They have been very good up front today. Full credit to the Langley Rams front 7 today. Or really sort of a front 6 is how it's at least drawn up on paper, but Keegan Vickland has been all around the line of scrimmage today. There's a big play by the Raider defense. As Pritchard trying to get around the corner, but no doing. Jacob Gilman stepped up there for the play. So it'll be second and very long. And I wonder about the play call on that third down from the Raiders. Even giving the ball to your running back on a straight handoff, you need an inch and you're giving up 4 yards. And then you toss the ball, it makes it even longer to get back to that line of scrimmage. I'm a fan of the quarterback keeper every time in that scenario. There's a pass, incomplete. And I think Lennox Murray from the Raiders secondary thought he might have had himself an interception there, but at the last second, Kevin Pashandy put up a hand and tipped that ball incomplete. So it'll be a third down and a punt situation. And you know, in the Canadian game, the defensive linemen have to line up a yard away from the ball. You need less than a yard. All your quarterback needs to do is take the snap and plunge forward. For my money, the QB keeper is every time the go-to call when it's less than a yard. So Pritchard will punt. 11 minutes and change to go in this ball game. It's a 15-point Ram lead. That's a great kick. Wow, spiraling kick. Forces the returner, Bradbrook, backwards, and he will go down at the 35. Excellent kick there from Pritchard, who has been a very focal point of this game for the Rams. He scored their first touchdown in the first half. They had some good punts. And the Raiders, facing a 15-point deficit, absolutely have to find something on offense here. As the rain continues to fall, it's gotten quite cold here as well, although I am standing still, bearing the brunt of the wind up here, so it's perhaps going to be a little warmer at field level. It's about 15 degrees, which is really where we were at kickoff as well, so it feels cooler, but it hasn't actually dropped that much in temperature here. As the lights are on, night falls, the rain falls, and the wind continues to gust. Not the kind of night you'd want to go out and walk your Chihuahua, I'll tell you that. 2nd and 7. After a handoff there. And the Raiders facing long second downs all night because of this excellent Ram front 7 and their ability to stop the run.
That's the middle line. Hold the line.
Rams blitz, flags fly. Raiders, I think, were offside. LeBerge is going to just throw this up. And now a pass interference call. I mean, that ball is probably uncatchable. Now, how do they assess this? Because I think the Raiders were offside. So, would that not negate the play? I don't know. But, I mean, I would probably entertain the argument that that was an uncatchable pass. And really, Dawson Marchand just kind of put his hands on the receiver. Did not really affect his ability to catch that ball in any way because I don't think he really had a chance to catch it. But the referees will now come together and assess the situation. 10.5 minutes to go in this ball game. 16-1, the Rams have the lead. They have a touchdown on a 36-yard pass from Trey Jones to Darian Pritchard. And they have a 1-yard touchdown plunge from Tate Williams for their majors. They've also got themselves a 2-point conversion and a safety that the Raiders gave up in their own end. Staked them out to this lead, and the only thing that they've given up today is a single point on a punt into the end zone.
Langley, difference is 10 yards.
Wow, so they assess the offside and the pass interference. The difference is +10 for the Raiders and a first down. Really lucky break there for the Raiders, as again, I really don't think that was a pass interference foul, and a tough break there for Marchand. Double fake handoff. LeBear's in trouble immediately, gets away, throws it up and into the Raider bench as Pauljeet Dami was face to face with the Raider quarterback. Second and 10. Ram defense continuing to play very well. High pass, pulled in and blasted was Bradbrook, and the ball falls down incomplete. Colton DeYoung was right there. It's just not happening today on offense for the Raiders, but as much as you talk about inefficiencies of the quarterback and inability to get the running game going, you really have to credit the defense here and the job that the Rams have done. And Chris Bushler, their defensive coordinator, really has his unit performing well today. They've forced 5 turnovers, 3 interceptions against one of the most veteran quarterbacks in this league, and now they blocked a punt. The ball is loose. The Raiders will fall on it, so it will go on the books as a blocked punt and a turnover on downs. And we've got an injured player down. It sounds like someone's calling for a trainer. So make that 6 turnovers now forced by the Rams. 3 interceptions, 3 turnovers on downs. And with a 15-point lead and 9 minutes left in this ball game, the Rams are going to take over at the Raider 25-yard line. Everything going the way of the visitors in this second half. There has been very little positive action for the Raiders in this second half. Jones under center, fakes the toss, rolls left, man wide open in the end zone, but he throws it underneath instead, and that will work too. Take your pick, as Gabe Fenelon will get that pass. Jones missed his receiver who was gone in the end zone. I think it was Jesse Nielsen who had a touchdown. But either way, that is a first down yardage and a first and goal.
He called them bagels.
Second and goal upcoming here. This is a must stop for the Raiders here. And the Rams looking to bury this game. Jones throws, quick pass, almost picked. And that would have been a pick 6 as McNally Hardesty would have jogged his way to the end zone, but he could not pull it in, and there was a flag down. He would have been able to moonwalk to the end zone there.
You think 16 could touch? Like 50 yards.
I haven't seen an indication on what this penalty is quite yet.
Langley, number 63, that penalty is declined.
Holding on the Rams declined. Third down. Field goal team will come on. Rams are 0 for 1 on field goal attempts tonight. Tate Williams will line this one up from 15 yards. And it's blocked. And the ball's loose. And the Raiders are going to return this. It's Jacob Gilman. Can he go? Can he be caught? He's down deep in Ram territory. A massive play. An absolutely massive play. A blocked field goal. Jacob Gilman scooped it up, runs it all the way down inside the Ram 15-yard line. The first big play, really, of this football game for the Raiders. And can they capitalize? Didn't see who got in and blocked that. First and 10 handoff. Henderson tries the right side, and again, really tough sledding against Cole Barron, the all-star in that Ram front. Gilman just did not have the gas to make it into the end zone as he was caught from behind by the kicker, Tate Williams. And I suspect you won't hear the end of that. Either way, a huge turn of events here, but the Raiders, with only 7 minutes left in this football game and a 15-point deficit, facing second down from about the 11-yard line. They need 8 yards for a first down, 11 yards for a score. They must get points here. LeBerge, flushed. He's in trouble. He's got nowhere to go, and he's going to go down. Colton DeYoung there, and the ball is loose. And there is a pile, and the Rams say they have it. What do the refs say? Flag is out. And no indication yet from the referees. The Rams have unofficially made the call here. What is the call here? There was a really, really late flag that came out. The Rams came out of the pile with the ball. Wow, it is a Ram turnover and positive yards for them. The defense comes up huge again. A fumble by Jake LeBerge. His fourth turnover of the football game. He's thrown 3 interceptions and now put the ball on the carpet in arguably the most critical moment of this game. And the Rams will take over at their own 30-yard line. A 15-point lead and 6 minutes on the clock. And I think they're going to have a great opportunity to run this clock away. Handoff to Fleary there, short gain. Haven't seen Derek Best since about mid-third quarter in that Ram backfield. And another penalty against the Raiders. I mean,
5-yard penalty. First down.
they'll have no one but themselves to blame for the inability to get back into this football game. Although again, as much as you can say the offense hasn't made it happen, the Rams defense has shut them down. A handoff here on first down. Things are getting a little chippy down there as these teams are now over 50 minutes into battling each other. Rain has subsided here, it would appear. 5.5 minutes to go, 15-point Ram lead, second down, 4 yards needed, about their own 36-yard line here. Raiders have turned the ball over so many times today. 7 turnovers, 3 interceptions, a fumble, and 3 turnovers on downs as that pass falls incomplete to bring up third down. You will not beat the 2-time defending champions turning the ball over 7 times. And they've had every chance because the Rams have really not been able to extend the lead as far as you might think, considering how they've dominated field possession and turnovers in this game. And the Raiders down 15 points. It looks like the Rams are going to get a field goal to ice this thing, and it's blocked. Return to the Ram 12-yard line, and instead of punching it in for points, the veteran QB LeBears puts the ball on the carpet. The Rams take it over, give up no points, and although they've ended this possession with a punt, it is a huge win for them as Pritchard gets another good kick away and a great job on coverage as Jesse Goodman is way downfield, and another flag comes out here.
At the end of the play, unnecessary roughing. 15-yard penalty.
Roughing on Langley. Ball at midfield. 4:50 left in this game. Raiders down 15 points. And, you know, by all accounts, in the Canadian football game, 4:50 is ages. There is no way that this is considered an out-of-reach football game, but the way the Raiders have managed the ball on offense today, there is no reason to believe that they're going to rack up 2 scores in a short order here as LeBears sails a pass. As we get a real Canadian version of a flyover here. It's not exactly the Snowbirds. And there'll be plenty of flyovers tomorrow across NFL stadiums. Week 1 in the NFL kicking off. I know where I'll be at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Hiding from my kids in my bedroom watching NFL, hopefully. 2nd and 10, midfield stripe. Screen pass. And that is not going anywhere. Again, the Rams secondary right on it. Becco Wande and Ryan Bathelson all over that one as Paul Romanoff has not much room to work with, and the Raiders, I think, are going to bring on the punt team here. 4 minutes left in the game. Ethan Moran to punt. Good snap. Not a great kick. Positive bounce for the Raiders. Scooped up by Fleury. He'll try wide side. Breaks one tackle. Now he's got a corner. Good speed as well, and a nice return to the 40-yard line. So 3.5 minutes to go. 16-1 the score for the Rams. Raiders started out this football game with a nice drive. They ended up punting into the Rams end zone. The Rams took a penalty in their own end zone, so it was considered a single point. The Raiders led 1-0. And the Rams had a punt, a missed field goal, another punt, and another punt to start this game. But then late in the second quarter, finally a breakthrough as Trey Jones, rolling to his left, put up a perfect pass to his receiver in the end zone, wide open Darian Pritchard, who pulled it in for a 36-yard touchdown strike. That was the first major of the game, only major of the first half. 6-1 Rams at halftime. As Jones rolls left, throws on the money here on first down, and a big gain deep into Raider territory. As that is pulled in there by Ian Finstad. So 6-1 at the half for the Rams on the Jones to Pritchard connection. And it was really, of course, anyone's ball game, and the Raiders came out in this second half and have been victimized by an excellent Langley Rams defense. There's been, in this half alone, 2 interceptions, a fumble, and 2 turnovers on downs. The Raiders 7 turnovers in this ball game. The Rams have only turned the ball over once, and that was because of a bad snap on a punt. So really, no fault of their offense by any means. In this second half, the Rams have scoring points from the Raiders yielding a safety, and then a 1-yard touchdown plunge from Tate Williams and a 2-point conversion. And that has us where we are now, inside the 3-minute warning, and a 16-1 lead for the visitors, and a handoff on first down into Raider territory as the Rams continue to move. And very much looking like the 2-time defending BC champs are going to move to 1-0 on the season. They will be a game behind the first place Okanagan Sun, who picked up their second victory of the season today, a blowout win over the West Shore Rebels. 2:20 left to go here, and a timeout by Corey Philplot.
Timeout.
Rams need about 4 yards to extend this drive. Really milk the clock out and get themselves back onto the bus, onto the ferry, and on the way home with a victory in their pockets. Raiders jumped, flag is out, bad snap. But it won't matter because the Rams are going to get a free first down off of this. So not the result the Raiders wanted, but a historic night nonetheless here in Nanaimo. The first ever night game of junior football played in this city, and the first game ever played at the new NDSS turf field here, where the Raiders will play for the foreseeable future. And this is a $3.8 million turf field, opened about 3 years ago by the city. It's tucked in behind the biggest, or one of the biggest secondary schools in the city here, and it's kind of part of a sports complex, really, because there's across the street an ice center with 2 sheets of ice, and then just off past the end zone to our broadcast left is a baseball field where high-level baseball, Soroxman Stadium, and then in behind our broadcast location is a Rotary Bowl and a track field. So the city of Nanaimo has visions, discussions of a potential sports complex going into this area. I think it was last summer they released some modeling and some options for what could go in here. There was even talk of something as large as a 12,000 seat setup in a stadium around this field. I don't think that they'll end up going that big. There was another conversation about maybe a 3,000 seat stadium, which I think would be much more realistic, especially from a taxpayer perspective. And you'd be looking at on a third down pass here, and the ball's on the money as Trey Jones throws a strike to the wide side of the field. That's Kevin Pashandi pulled that in. So conversations about the future of this field are ongoing, and I think the city was estimating about $6 to $9 million investment would be needed to put in about 3,000 seats in a proper stadium facilities here. And that's sort of the maturation that needs to happen here with this field now. You know, a lot of people didn't like Caledonia Park because it had no amenities, and the natural grass field was really not great late in the fall when playoffs would come around. As Jones goes end zone for Pritchard, he's got it! Second touchdown pass of the day for Trey Jones, and the second touchdown catch of the day for Darian Pritchard, a 22-yard strike, and the Rams put the final nail in this one. Great start to the season for Darian Pritchard. He's had a heck of a game. 2 receiving touchdowns, really well over 60 yards receiving would be my guess. And Trey Jones as well, a clean day for him. 2 touchdown passes. He has not turned the ball over. And it has been a very nice day for this Rams quarterback and offense. They've done what they've needed to do, and they have their team up 22-1 right now. And I think Corey Philpott's seen enough of his field goal team today. They've had a botched snap exchange on an extra point that was no good. They've had a missed field goal, and they've had a blocked field goal. And he says, you know what, let's just go for 2. And the Raiders, Doyle Westland breaks through and takes down Trey Jones in the backfield with 1:40 to go. So the Rams lead 22-1. And so as I was saying, you know, Caledonia Park has no amenities really, and not great locker rooms, not great stands. Really, all it had was its storied past. And then so you move here to this new turf field. You have the gorgeous field. You have ample parking. It's right, on the 3rd Street connector right through the main artery of the city of Nanaimo here. So this has all the hallmarks of the future sports complex of Nanaimo. And if the city and the taxpayers make the choice to invest a few $1 million, the designs and plans are there for a proper stadium here at this field. And it, of course, has the lights for playing night games, and you add in a 3,000 seat stadium, and this could really become a nice home, not only for the Raiders, but this is a home of high school football here. 3 different high school football teams play out of this stadium across the Mid-Island, the NDSS, the Barsby Bulldogs, and then Bolinas also plays here. As this kickoff is still on the ground, it's into the Raiders' end zone, and they're going to start this drive inside their 5-yard line. And then as well, just up behind us, maybe a kilometer or so, is Vancouver Island University, which is obviously a continually growing campus here in Nanaimo. And of course, the university has a lot of high-level athletics as well. They don't compete in U sports, more of a Pac West team. The Mariners teams compete in Pac West, but they have soccer, high-level soccer, basketball. So this has a lot of potential here to become a future sporting complex in the city of Nanaimo. And really exciting to see, I think, for all football fans of the league, to see, one of the stronger franchises in the league get themselves the the quality home that they have never had in 15 plus years of being a franchise in this league. LeBerge hands off. Henderson going to grind his way up the middle. Minute 30 to go here. Rams with a 22-1 lead. Out-of-town scoreboard, as I said earlier today, the Sun moved to 2-0 with a blowout victory over the West Shore Rebels. 62-6, the final score there. And the game going on right now, the Valley Huskers have a 10-0 lead over the Kamloops Broncos in the first quarter of play. That is the second game of the season for the Huskers, who are 0-1. The Broncos just starting their campaign. As I said, the Rams next week will play the Okanagan Sun at home. And that'll be a big matchup to watch. Early season heavyweight tilt. The Raiders will travel to Chilliwack next week to play the Kamloops Broncos in a neutral site game, although the Broncos will be the home team there. Second and about 2 here as the Raiders look to get some positive momentum going into a week of practice. Interesting that the Raiders don't practice at this field. They have training, they held their training camp here, and they have obviously probably did their pregame walkthrough here yesterday, but I was talking to their coaching staff before the game. They don't practice here routinely, as they make use of Caledonia Park and Comox as well. Comox Field, which is a smaller practice field the Raiders have used for many years. And perhaps disadvantage in some way because you practice on grass and then you go play on turf. But these athletes are well used to adapting. I can't say I ever really noticed much of a difference between grass and turf as a lineman in my day, but I was certainly not one of the speed positions by any stretch, so I know the speed guys love the turf, and the Raiders, I was reading some of the local media this week, and they were quite excited about the chance to play on a turf field. They felt like it would really help their speed game. But it has been the Langley Rams who have enjoyed this field the most today. 7 turnovers they've forced. They had a really clean game from their quarterback, Trey Jones. 2 touchdowns for him, both of them to Darian Pritchard, who played extremely well today. And this Ram defense is very good. Very strong up front. They forced 3 turnovers through interceptions, so clearly ball hawking as well. There's a pass, incomplete. And that'll do it. Final whistle blows in. And the Langley Rams open defense of their back-to-back BC championships with a very strong 22-1 victory over the Vancouver Island Raiders here in Nanaimo. As I said, Trey Jones, 2 passing touchdowns, both of them to Darian Pritchard. Tate Williams had a 1-yard plunge, and they forced 7 turnovers, 3 of them off the arm of Jake LeBerge, and a very good start to this campaign for the Langley Rams. They move to 1-0. The Raiders fall to 0-1. As the Rams will be home to the Sun next week, the Raiders will hit the road to play Kamloops in Chilliwack. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast here tonight. And be sure to come back And tune in to BCFC TV all season long, every game, all the games, live streamed for your enjoyment. Again, thanks for being here with us tonight. For our cameraman on the tech side, Alan Felker, on stats, Paul Short. I'm Dominic Abassi. The Rams 22-1 winners. Good night from the Nanaimo.